through your freedom.
Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It is Sunday Night Live. This is The Zoo. We are live on, YouTube, X, subscribestar.com, and thepreparedmind.club. Welcome back. I'm sorry I missed our show for the Friday night free-for-all, but shit happens, folks. It's been a heck of a year, but I'm glad to be right back here with you guys. I know it's a holiday weekend, but I don't care. There's so much going on. We can't wait. We can't postpone. I was thinking, postpone it till Monday, have a special Monday night edition. No, let's do it tonight. Let's get it on. First off, if you want to comment, you've got to be a subscriber. But everyone else, if you're already a subscriber, hit the thumbs up, share that internet address, or use the share buttons down below. And if you want to talk, if you've got an idea, a thought, an observation, something you want to discuss, well, there's one way to get it right here on here with me live, and that's hit that super chat button right up there, or Venmo, PayPal, CashApp down below in the video description. We're going to have some fun. And by fun, I mean we're going to talk about some crazy ass shit, some just amazingly stupid stuff. But, also, if we do super chat donations of $50 and more, you get to buy me a scotch with that. And I can't wait. We're going to start off the show with 2 of those, by the way. And we typically do it just like that. Right out the gate, I've got Chin Music with a $55.56 super chat donation through Venmo. And that means we're going to start off with a toast and a scotch. And then we're going to talk about what is interesting to Chin Music. And you're going to enjoy this, folks. I hope you enjoyed the thumbnail for the video. Once again, it's the trans mass murderer. And I will not call him a her. He is a gender confused, gender dysphoric human being with mental disorders squirting out every orifice. And he lost his shit, flipped his lid, decided he didn't like that he brainwashed himself along with school and his mother, and decided he's going to kill Christians. That's right. He went to a Catholic school to kill Christians. But, because they had on there something about 6 million wasn't enough, and Israel must fall. That means, it was anti-Semitic, and we need to worry about Jews. No, he didn't kill any Jews. In fact, I believe he is Jewish. In any event, folks, this is Chin Music's Scotch. I want to thank you, brother, and thank all of you. We're going to have a great show tonight. We're going to do 2 hours. So buckle in, have a drink, and let's get it on. There it is. Cheers and Semper Fi to you, Chin Music. Right out the gate. So, ABC News wants to push their baloney, their lies, right? So, Aaron Katersky says the Minneapolis terrorist, Minneapolis transgender, anti-Christian, terrorist murderer, wrote criticisms of Israel and put Trump's name on the guns as well. Guns, magazines, everything else. Right? Now, the ABC News' Aaron Katersky didn't actually say what was actually written. Here's a couple of things that were written. Kill Donald Trump. Kill Trump now. 6 million wasn't enough. Burn Israel and Israel must fall. Along with many other things. You see, we can't have the world. No. Let me strike that. Let's try that again. We can't have mainstream media, left-wing sycophants, lying anti-American media persons talking about how white, Western, Christian tax-paying, decent humans were killed by this monster who was turned loose on the American public by the Democrat Party, Israel, that's right, and also the medical community and the psychological community and the educational community. They're all complicit. Now, you might ask, but John, how does transgenderism and what does that have to do with Israel? Israel pushes through their belief systems, aka the Talmud, they push transgenderism, cross-dressing, drag queens, homosexuality, bisexuality, and all other manner of filth, which is what the Germans had a problem with in the 1920s and then the 1930s. That is their way to bring down a nation, is to subvert it, pervert it, and drag it down, destroy culture and tradition and then law. And that's their plan. And they're doing it again. They do it around the world again. Same with these doctors, shrinks, medical doctors, schools, teachers, the education system. Right. And so here it is. So maybe the murderer, what was his name again? Oh, yeah. Rob Westman, not Robin. That's his fake bullshit name. His real name was, I believe, Robert Westman. He was very mad, very upset that he had been brainwashed. He didn't like being a tranny. He was done being a tranny. It was hurting him. He wanted to be done with it. His inner demons were arguing with him. See his satanic cartoon he drew, where he argues with the devil. He may know that it is a Talmudic Jewish belief that transgenderism's fine. Maybe that's why he wrote Israel must fall and burn Israel, and 6 million wasn't enough. But he didn't threaten overtly any Israelis. He didn't threaten overtly any Jews. He went after white, Catholic, Christian Americans. Understand, folks, this is what we're up against. This is just one of a myriad of pieces of shit that's going on out there. Now, unbelievable, folks. I got another one. We've got Darcy T ready to step up. There we go. Need to communicate here. We got Uman and we got Jolene going on. And Uman, Mr. Moderator, is ready to rock and roll. Get your super chat button, bam, up here. I'll get you on the screen. I'll make you famous if you want, or you can be anonymous. But your questions, comments, thoughts, this is Sunday Night Live. This is your show. Right? I'm just the host. The topics are up to you guys. And a lot of us have the same topics, but you can put your own spin on it. Like, I enjoy the hell out of your conspiracy theories, by the way. There is no shortage of them in my world. But actually, I am kind of running a little shy, a little low on theories. Basically, now we have conspiracy proofs. And the theories will keep coming as we watch what's going on. In fact, let's go to Darcy T's question. $50 PayPal super chat donation from Darcy T. And you're going to love this subject because, well, there's some conspiracy in it. But first, let's pour that second scotch that we're so famous for starting the shows off with. Thank you, Darcy T, for keeping the mind limbered up and relaxed. You know, if I didn't do this, I'd probably be frustrated and aggravated a lot more than I am. As it is, Darcy T, cheers and semper fi to you as well. Everyone raise a toast to the United States of America, the red, white, and blue, the colors that never run, right? May the wings of liberty never lose a feather. Semper fi, one and all. Like mother's milk. So, your thoughts are coming up here in a second. Get your stuff in line. You're going to love this topic. It has to do with Venezuela. So Darcy T says, good evening, John. I was wondering, what are we, meaning the United States of America, what are we planning to do in Venezuela. All I read in the news lately is that tensions are rising. That's not really any real meaningful motive anymore. I agree with that sentiment. Back to Darcy T. Every world event seems to be more ludicrous than the one before it. What do you suppose is the real aim here? Well, you see, we've been told that Nicolas Maduro, the communist leader of Venezuela, is sending drugs into the United States of America. Venezuela is right next to Colombia, and Colombia, of course, is, well, most famous for its cocaine. And Venezuela is right next door. They produce all the cocaine they want as well. Additionally, out of Venezuela, they produce gangsters, gangs, murderous gangs. One of the deadliest gangs in, well, the world. Transgenderism. And, it's a second, I think, MS-13. Then you have the Sinaloa drug cartel. These are all gangs. And they did what? What did Venezuela do? They sent them up here to America. Who let them in? Democrats. Who let them in? Joe Biden. Who let them in? Nancy Pelosi. Who let them in? Dollar store Hakeem Jeffries. Who let them in? Dollar store Obama. Right? The Democrats did. Joe Biden. Alejandro Mayorkas, the piece of shit. That's right, Department of Homeland Security head. That asshole. Who did nothing? Merrick Garland. Okay, so Venezuela sent that shit up here. But why all of a sudden, I think might be what Darcy T is asking about. Why now? Typically, and this is not really a conspiracy. Man sent you a message. What we've noticed is we've got conspiracy pattern. Every time some big thing erupts in the news, what happens? We get a distraction. We get a distraction. We get a distraction. Did you know right now that the country of France is going into default? Thank you, Uman. Going into default. Bankrupt. They can't get financing. No one wants to buy their bonds. The fucking country is trashed. That's France. Guess who's right behind? The United States of America. Our country is in huge trouble, folks. Monetarily, fiscally in trouble. You and me out here, we're doing okay. We're suffering under all the inflation and more inflation and the cost of living increase called inflation. But France is in trouble. Now, what's going on elsewhere around the world? Did you know that in England, millions of people are protesting this weekend? Did you know that in France and Italy and Germany, Australia and Japan? I didn't know Japan was as far underwater with these pieces of shit, third world transplants, just like the rest of us. And every country has thousands and tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people in multiple cities in every country. They're having huge protests and they're going after the leadership because they don't like what the World Economic Forum did to the world by pushing all of this asylum shit. And who else is responsible and part and parcel to that? You guessed it, Israel. Israel hates the West. Their philosophy, their religion, their belief system is we will control the world, we'll dominate the world, we'll buy off politicians because they're weak, slimy politicians. And so they can honeypot them, pedophile them, drug them up, bribe them, and then own them. It's everywhere, folks. It's everywhere. Canada, America, Australia, all of Europe. And I don't know if they got to Japan. I don't know how they got to the prime minister of Japan. I know they killed Shinzo Abe, the former president of Japan, assassinated him in broad daylight. Maybe most Americans don't even know that. I have no idea that several years ago, the president of Japan, the prime minister rather, was assassinated. In any event, let's get back to Venezuela. Darcy's question. Tensions are rising. Why are we going after Venezuela? Okay, drugs is an issue. Right now, we have the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico threatening the United States government and laughing about the U.S. military. Same with Venezuela and their military. They're talking a bunch of shit. And idiot Latinos and Latinas that are all for being dominated by the drug lords think that the drug lords stand a chance. Now, I understand guerrilla fighting is nearly impossible to win. For example, Vietnam, Afghanistan, as well as many other countries around the world, guerrilla warfare, local insurgents typically win, but not without paying that huge ass price. So we continue. Tensions are rising. Yeah, right. Who gives a shit? Everyone's fucking tense. Every country is putting up with this shit. The World Economic Forum, which is now being run by Larry Fink of BlackRock, he should be arrested for what he's done. Same with George Soros. He needs to be arrested. Same with Alex Soros. His son needs to be arrested. I love that Trump completely treated Ursula von der Leyen, the leader of the European Union, as a nobody when she visited the United States, because she is a nobody. She's not elected, therefore she's not a legitimate leader of any sort. She's a bureaucratic sack of shit that is fucking over everyone in the European Union. We have tension around the world, not just with Venezuela, not just with Iran, not just with North Korea. And right now, South Korea, folks, the South Korean communist influence, which you know is coming from North Korea and China, is trying to take control of the South Korean government, as in uniting the peninsula under communist control. And that will shake up world manufacturing. That'll shake up world everything. South Korea is a massive hot spot. It's a bright spot for innovation and technology. From everywhere, from folks, computer chips, automobiles, nuclear reactors, nuclear energy, everything. In any event, the world, lots of tensions. So what's the deal with Venezuela? Besides drugs and drug cartels, what else does Venezuela do? Oil. Oil is it. Oil is it. Now, I haven't been following it as closely as I used to, and the mainstream media is not even touching the oil issue, energy, the way it should. The United States of America just sent another warship through the Panama Canal heading to Venezuela. Venezuela sits on one of the largest oil reserves on the planet. But interestingly, just the other day, I believe it was Friday, Russia has announced that it has an oil deposit in Antarctica. Rutrow, Antarctica, which no one's allowed to do any development of. No drilling, no mining, no excavation. Nothing. It's supposed to be for scientific purposes. They claim to have found an oil reserve there that dwarfs the rest of the planet. Wouldn't surprise me. In any event, for the United States of America, energy. Now, why do we need energy? We have one of the largest oil reserves on the planet as well. Well, because we can't go get it, because of environmentalists and bullshit. Fracking is going downhill, right? It's going downhill. The all of that effort, the fracking industry, right? It's gone. They're very small deposits and they dry up very quickly. In other words, we're going to need more oil. We're going to need more energy. We're going to need more cheap energy. But, this is about drugs. This is about threats from a third world tin hat piece of shit communist who wants to play games. I think the United States of America several years ago tried getting a new leader in to replace Maduro. It didn't work, right? Communists are famous for their ability to cheat, right, Democrats? Consequently, we don't have an ally that we could cut a really big energy deal with. So now our military is sitting off the coast, and this looks like a clear case of imperialistic intent. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to pretend it isn't what it is, because that's the only real reason that I can see the United States of America needs to have anything to do with Venezuela, apart from sending their fucking scumbag people back there and then dropping a couple of bombs on the next person who sends drugs this way. In fact, in the great state of Florida, my new adopted home state, they just had the largest single drug seizure ever in the state of Florida, catching him trying to send that shit up here. Now, I'm surprised Pam Bondi and Kash Patel didn't fly their sorry asses down here and try and take credit for it. They're a bunch of fucking losers. All right, folks, look, we're starting the show off. It is your show. We've got 250 people live. I want to see it hit all the way up at 500 today. So share the internet address, hit the share button down below. Thumbs up if you're not a subscriber. You've got to be a subscriber on YouTube to make the comment, right? Period. And if you've got something to say, there's a super chat button right up there. That is your ticket to getting your comment in the line, the fast line. Just like this, Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And it's Big Dan the Man Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. He says, so the Minnesota shooter was a man that wanted to be a woman. Yes. So he likes men? Isn't that just gay? Well, it's deeper than that. Back when we were a young men, Dan, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, just being homosexual alone was considered grounds to identify you as having a psychological disorder, because it's not normal to want to screw someone from the same sex in their bunghole. That is abnormal. It is not orderly. It is disorderly. It is a mental disorder to be homosexual. It doesn't mean you have to be killed or sent to an island or shot in a rocket at the moon. Nothing like that. It's just you are not normal. Therefore, you were not allowed to be in the military because there's a lot of other psychological conflicts there. But, that's just gotten the way it is. So isn't he a man that just wanted to be a woman? He was convinced, but his words were brainwashed, Dan. Brainwashed. He was brainwashed into being told he wanted to be a woman. Now, his mother, since his murderous rampage, his mother has refused to cooperate with the police. His mother has obtained a defense attorney and fled. Maybe they found her. Maybe she's surfaced and said, here I am. But last I checked, she's off the grid, off radar. No one knows where the bitch is. If he says he was brainwashed, let's just say his teacher was like, hey, look, you fruitcake, we can change your name to Robin, and you can get some fake boobies so that you can finally see some boobies of your own, and you can be a woman because that's what you want to be, right? And then he went home and said, Mom, my teacher said I should be a woman. She's like, that's a great idea. He was brainwashed. He was indoctrinated into believing that's normal when it's not. Right? He was a man that was convinced he wanted to be a woman. So much so, he was so brainwashed that he convinced himself. Now, we don't know if he likes men. We don't know that, Dan. Right? I have seen this trans people that still want to like women, see and be and have relationships with women. It's just they think they're a woman. So I guess a trans man, in many cases, wants it to be a woman, trans woman lesbian. See, it's the fucking mental gymnastics, cartwheels, somersaults, and triple dismounted, fall on your fucking face. How do you live like that? Now, your final question. Isn't that just gay on every single level. Right? This guy is gay, homosexual, out of his fucking mind, a fruitcake, and a dangerous one who is also taking drugs. Have they told us, by the way, oh man, what drugs this guy was taking? Robin? No, I haven't heard. But I guarantee he was on hormone blockers because, yeah, he was trans. I guarantee he was on SSRIs, antidepressants, which actually depress your thinking, slow your brain down, fuck you up. And the side effects of antidepressants is ding, 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 depression, ding, 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 suicidal thoughts, dingity ding and a ding ding on homicidal, violent responses. So not only do you put female hormones into a male, you turn around and put mind control, mind-numbing drugs, which cause violent reactions. And then you put that and mix that with someone who has been brainwashed and they know it, who probably didn't want to trans and was talked into it, pressured into it, pushed into it by, let's see, a school, mom, psychologist, doctor. Oh, yeah, not to mention Satan. What a shit show. Liberty for All says, Alex Jones stated that the shooter's father served 29 years with the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, he was either a contractor or agent/contractor working for the CIA, puts him right in there with other mass murderers, other psychotic killers, other mind-controlled MK Ultra, meat robots that do as they're told and get activated. And when they don't activate properly, well, they become the patsy. Just like the guy who shot Trump through the ear. Right? Crooks was his name. We know more about this fruitcake that killed a bunch of Catholic children, injured a lot more Catholic children. We know more about him than we do the guy who took a shot and put a bullet through Trump's ear and shot off into the crowd. Yeah, they washed the blood off the roof the next day. That's destruction of evidence, tampering with the crime scene. Thank you, FBI. Right? CIA and FBI connections, left and right. Thank you, Liberty. But thank you, Big Dan the Man, for bringing that topic up. We've got a lot, folks. We've got a lot more to talk about. This is Sunday Night Live. We've got a lot going on. We're half an hour in on our 2-hour show. Your guys, get your questions and thoughts up here. Hit the super chat button right up there, and we'll talk about what you want to talk about. Everything is open. Military, Wall Street, Europe, America, drugs, crime, any topic. It's all open. Of course, we got to be a little bit careful around cerveza bug, a little bit careful around the Jim Jones juice, topics of that. And you know what that's all about. But I will talk about it and use code as best we can. But thank you. Hey, Mr. Who-Man, who wants to step up next? And it is Viking Boomer with a $20 super chat donation. Welcome back there, Viking. Oh, I was just going to ask, how did everything go on your trip to the United Kingdom, England? He says, the UK government went over me with a fine-tooth comb in order to obtain an entrance visa to visit for the 13th week. Meanwhile, boatloads land there every day. Boatloads of illegals land in England. Is there something I'm missing out on? Yes, Viking, according to your picture right over there, you are not brown, you are not black, you are not a minority. Actually, you are a minority. White people only represent somewhere between 10 and 7% of the world population. You're a minority, but you're not Muslim. You're not from a third world shithole. You don't hate Europe and the UK specifically, you don't want to go over there and rape little girls. You see, that's the problem with you. You're not one of those people. And the UK government and the French government and the Italian government and the German government and the Spanish government and the Portuguese government, you get where I'm going on this? They all want these illegals in their country because the World Economic Forum told them they do and bribed them to allow, and have pushed to destroy Western civilization, to muddy the genetics, the culture, and the traditions of Europe, if not just flat ass destroy them. I read years ago, folks, we're going on 15 years now, a discussion about there's going to be two types of human on this planet. Two types of human. This is what you're missing out on. Two types of humans. There's going to be the elites. That's right. The elite rulers of the world are all going to be white-skinned. For the rest of us, including the stupid administrators in the American government and the British government and everywhere else, everyone has to be mixed. A homogenization of all races to include Pakistan, India, and all of Africa, South America. They want us all mixed. And I don't have adequate research and time to go over what it is they hope to accomplish, except to say they want us looking different from them. The elites in the World Economic Forum, these super rich bastards, they want to be the only whites on the planet and be the elite. They want to be godlike. They want the rest of us to be mixed with these morons from these shithole countries where they come, folks, they have IQs under 80. Why? Malnourishment, no education, and inbreeding creates stupid people, violent people, worthless people. Right? We were told diversity is our strength. Fucking liars. No, diversity dumbs us down. The dumber we are, the more intelligent the super elites feel and act, right? And then they want to control us. Once they have that, they can control us with their drone Air Force, their drone Army, their drone law enforcement. I know that I keep hearing people say, that can't happen, that can't happen. Yes, it can. Yes, it will. It is happening right now. DARPA, Boston Dynamics, you bet your ass, Rand Corporation, Bechtel, name it, are developing the technologies to perfect and then implement a robotic police force. Watch the movie Ethereum to give you an idea of what the elites want to do, live in their heavenly abode, while the rest of us are down here eating fucking bugs and chemical slime and living the shittiest lives possible. All of us homogenized, looking the same, unhealthy, uneducated, low IQ. They don't want 100 IQ. They don't want 120. They don't want us 140, 160 IQ type people running around out here. They want to be the smart ones and they want to dumb us down. That's what they're going for. That's the problem. That's why they don't want you in England, man. You might show up and actually say something that clicks off. But I guess you made it there. I guess you made it there. Folks, it's Sunday Night Live. It's your show. What do you want to talk about? Super chat button right up there. That's how you get on the screen down here. And I tell you what, I've got something for you. Actually, this one hits really close to home for Uman himself. We have a showdown coming. We have a showdown coming in big cities, but especially Chicago. This showdown needs to happen, in my opinion. This is America. We have a First Amendment, a Second Amendment. We got all kinds of amendments. They're about freedom, liberty, our rights. We have a Constitution. It lays out, sorry about that. It lays out how the government works right here. And it tells us with the Declaration of Independence, which is also in this book, it tells us why we told the King of England to go fuck himself. Right? The constitutional amendments 1 through 10, the Bill of Rights, as they're known as. We're not about restricting us or limiting us or telling us, the people, what to do. Is about limiting the government, stopping the government, telling them what to do. The showdown's coming, folks. They can't beat us on the constitutional question. They can't. So they want to have conflict. They need to bring in other people. They need to have our cities be absolute shitholes. So Chicago's left-wing communist mayor, B.J. Brandon Johnson, has signed what is being called a protective order. Why would he do that? There's an effort on the part of Mayor Johnson and other mayors around the country to stop, or at least try and stop, Trump's National Guard deployment scheme, which is supposed to remove crime, eliminate crime, capture illegals, clean up the cities, and make them safe for the people who live there. Make cities safe for the Americans that live there. Make cities safe for the American taxpayers that live in these cities that are being run into the ground by mayors like BJ and Karen Bass and that idiot in Boston, as well as governors like Kathy Hochul and Gavin Newsom and Prickster. What a piece of shit. So Brandon Johnson, or BJ Mayor of Chicago, says that he vows to, quote, take any action necessary. That's his protective order. Take any action necessary to thwart, interfere, screw with, make difficult, stop, if he could, Trump and his efforts. My response is, let's see who really wants a fight. Let's see it. Okay, BJ, you want that? Trump needs to send in the National Guard. One cop, one DA, one judge, one city council member, the mayor, state police, the governor himself, that fat, swarthy, Jabba the Hutt looking piece of shit that Illinois has as a governor. Let's see who wants a real fight and who is just a socialist, communist, pandering piece of shit that has sold out his own people. That's what we need to see. Trump needs to do it. Stop the talking and do it. Don't threaten, do it. I mean, what is Prickster going to do? Call the Illinois National Guard? I guess we'd find out exactly who is in charge of the National Guard, wouldn't we? I mean, I guess Prickster could try. He could try and use his National Guard against what? The president's National Guard? Now we've got insurrection. That's way beyond subversive. What the Democrats and these fucking judges and people like Soros and the World Economic Forum and the big corporations in Wall Street that are influencing decisions in businesses and government with their money and their bribery and their extortion. We need to find out who's playing on whose side. I say, time to quit the bullshit. Time to quit playing games. Stop making threats and just fucking do it. I'm ready. In fact, I had a Sergeant Major get a hold of me today. He's ready. He's always been ready. Let's see who really wants a fight and see who is just pandering. Uman says, extra shipments of Xanax for Mayor BJ's anxiety attacks are on the way. Ooh, yeah. Xanax, folks, is a very popular antidepressant, mood enhancer for communist pieces of shit. When they don't get their way, they need their Xanax. Yeah, these people are sick in the head, folks. They are traitors, in my opinion. And I mean anyone anyone who doesn't put America first is a fucking traitor. I don't mind if you support other countries as well, but it's America first. And anything for any other country that negatively impacts America is anti-American, and that person needs to be fucking thrown out of office. They need to be arrested, in my opinion, for putting other nations' people first over our people. Other nations' health first over the health of our people. Other nations' educations, military, economy, anything else over those of America. As far as I'm concerned, that is treason. It is financially selling out. And I know it's also money laundering because they're all sacks of shit. Anyways, yeah, the showdown that needs to happen. All of these ridiculous, stupid fucking mayors and governors. I say, let's get it on. Let's get it on. They want to play games? Let's play some fucking games. Oh, man, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? It is Sunday Night Live. Means you guys get to hit the super chat button and get your questions, comments, thoughts on the screen. We're at 300 people live right now, folks. Please be sure and subscribe down below. 5 minutes after being subscribed, 5 minutes, you can do comments. Thumbs up, share the video. Ooh, man, where are we going next? We've got, we got some technical difficulties on Uman's side, but I can get in there and handle this too. We've got, let's do it. Video is buffering or something. StreamYard just kicked him out. Uman will be back in a moment, but for now, we've got Robin with a $50 super chat donation. Good. I'm getting thirsty. I'm getting pissed off. And so I think I need a little non-Xanax. That's right. $50 super chat gets me a Glenlivet 15-year single malt Scotch whiskey. Oh, good golly. Robin, you've been a great supporter. I want to do this. I want to say thank you to you down the hatch. Just like mother's milk. Oh, okay, Robin. She writes, much of the responsibility for these unguarded, mindless vessel kneelings goes to the Tim Walls of the world. Who thinks it's normal to put tampons in little boys' bathrooms? Tim Walls. I see it, Uman. Tim Walls does. Who wants trannies protected? Tim Walls does. Twinkle Toes, Tampon Tim, wants all things LGBTQIAP MAP. But I'm just now calling them LGB pedos to cover all of them. Lesbian, gay, bi, whatever, they're all pedophiles in my book. I know the gays against groomers are back out there in social media. This is their fault for not policing their people the same way moderate, nice, soft Muslims could enjoy America, our liberties, our freedoms, our rights, our prosperity, except they won't do a fucking thing to stop the radicals who are here radicalizing everything. In any event, Robin continues and says, who thinks it's normal to put tampons in little boys' bathrooms? Well, the Democrats. They encourage, foster, and facilitate this illness. They, too, have mental illness. Well, I'll tell you what. People like Tim, yes. People like Michelle Obama, who claims to be a man. Oh, yeah, Michelle Obama. Barack has called him Michael on several occasions. Yes. Barack has also claimed to be from Kenya and not an American before he ran for president and decided to start fucking lying to everyone. Let us continue. They have mental illness. I agree that they do. Listen to anything Hillary says. She sounds mentally ill. Clinton, you bet, mentally ill. AOC, lying sack of shit ill. Chuck Schumer, he is a raw cheeseburger eating piece of shit. And most of these people have spouses that look like they fell out of a fucking ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. Now, not everyone is handsome. I know a lot of us are challenged, but I just like making the jokes. Ugly as a mud fence. Anyways, there are people who are pushing for this. Tampons in boys' bathrooms. girls pretending to be boys in the men's locker room, and men pretending to be girls in the little girls' bathrooms, so that sexual harassment, assault, rape all happen in schools. They're going after the children. Remember when the faggots in San Francisco were singing that song? We're coming for your children. And they're like, oh, no, we're not. That was just a joke. Fucking liars. They knew what they were doing back then, folks. 8 fucking years ago. They knew. They knew. A lot of these people know exactly what they're doing. You think that fruitcake that quit at the CDC, the monkeypox advocate, the monkeypox advocate, right, is a Satanist working in the CDC, deciding who and how many get the Jim Jones juice and the boosters and what's approved and not. He's pushing for this shit. These are a bunch of satanic, evil bastards. But the people at the very top, the elites, once again, who want to be the only white-skinned people on the planet, they're not mentally ill. They're psychotic. Well, I shouldn't say they're not mentally ill. They're functioning. They're functioning. And they know exactly what they're doing, and they're using a plan. It is a plan they tried doing in Germany when, let's just say, a non-German population tried taking over Germany and declaring war on it. That's right, folks. There is an ethnicity out there, a religious ethnicity that declared war on Germany after World War I and started introducing transgenderism, homosexuality, cross-dressing, drag queen, and pornographic materials available to the public. That is, you would think, a form of mental illness, but to them it's normal. That's what they want. That's what they want to do to us. And that's why right now the world is standing up to it. They're trying to put low IQ, inbred, uneducated, unskilled asylum seekers, fake asylum, into Europe and the Americas and Australia and Japan. And they're getting away with it because of money. It is, I guess I'm going to have to agree with you, Robin, that they're all mentally fucking ill. But the elites, the powerful elites, what they're doing is they're doing it to empower themselves and weaken any opposition to them. You are the opposition, folks. I'm the opposition. America is the opposition. Canada has opposition. Australia has opposition. Japan has opposition. Spain, Italy, England, France, Germany, Belgium. They're opposing this shit. Norway, Finland, Sweden, opposing it. The opposing forces are waking up, and it's the same evil people who have an evil religion that says it's okay to have sex with children. It is a mental illness. But they don't see it that way. They see it as a technique to conquer us. Let us continue, if we shall. I really enjoyed that topic. Thank you, Robin. And now we got Nancy Keg checking in with a $20 super chat donation. She says, your topic and for anything special in the future. Oh, we got lots of special in the future. I'm going to go back to the trans mass murderer. And MSNBC, folks, the mainstream media that you don't watch, I don't watch, nobody watches unless it's for academic purposes only to figure out what the fuck the left is saying. So a panel of experts, talking heads, pundits on MSNBC decided to discuss banning all firearms. They said that we in the United States of America need to do, quote, what Australia did. I have a better idea. Why don't we lock up the mentally deranged flaggots and see how mass shootings drop? Right? I can't think of a mass shooting that didn't have someone on SSRIs and transgenders. One or the other, or even both. Right? Let's just lock all the flaggots up. All of them. right? The trannies, they're fruitcakes. The problem is easy to see. It's right out in the open. But Democrats and the mainstream media pretend like we don't see it. We don't see that their ilk and their people are nutty as a fruitcake, and they're violent. They're murderously violent. I guess I'm going to have to say, folks, the only, and I mean the absolute only thing stopping the destruction of our nation, the United States of America, is the Second Amendment. So fuck you, MSNBC, NBC, CNN, Fox, and all the mainstream media cucks and bitches. Done. Now, over in England, you want to say something, they'll come to your house and arrest you, no matter if you're old or young, but they'd rather go after the old and the young, drag them away. They can't fight back in England. In fact, if you get a knife or a hatchet and try and protect yourself from being raped, you'll be arrested while the rapist from Pakistan or India or Africa goes free. And if you use pepper spray, that's an illegal weapon too. There will be no defending yourself in that fucked up country of England. Australia gave up their guns. Canada still has some. Australia gave theirs up. Look where they're at. Every country around the world is having massive protests because they don't have anything else. Lexington and Concord. Lexington and Concord were two cities. By cities, I mean towns. Back in colonial America, where the men of those cities, those towns, those colonies said, we've had enough shit from a government that hates us and wants to destroy us and is taxing the shit out of us and has brought in foreign mercenaries, has brought in their own police force. And they are burning, looting and stealing and taxing and jailing people for crimes that don't exist. That's exactly what's going on in England and Canada and Australia and mainland Europe, the continent. They're doing it, folks. They're doing everything that was done in our Declaration of Independence. And even in the United States of America, all that they can, they're going after our Declaration or repeating the same things that tyrants repeat. The first thing they want to stop is you from talking. So they threaten you. They censor you. They silence you. They scare you. And if they can, they'll arrest you and call it hate speech, or you violated anti-Semitism laws. This is America. I don't give a fuck. I'll say whatever the hell I want, short of shouting fire in a crowded room or threatening the president or some other political fuckhead. I don't need to do any of those things, right? Free speech. Well, I'm not supposed to, what? Right? I'm not supposed to call for violence, unlike the Democrats who do it all the time. And these trans people who do it all the time. Folks, hit the thumbs up button. That'll drive social media nuts because it'll make people want to come here. It messes with their algorithms. Share the internet address. Also, we need more people here waking up. It is critical to wake up the world. Your friends, your family, your co-workers, complete strangers. And folks, you know what's amazing? I see a lot of people who are clearly Democrats, who are clearly Muslims, signing up. I see their names. I see the language that's being written in. They're here. Why? Because they either support us or they're against us. There's two sides in this. There's freedom and there's not. There's not partial freedom. You either have rights or you exist by permission. In any event, folks, it's your show. Hit that super chat button right up there and you get to pick the topic. It can be about the past or the future. It can be about the present. It can be something that's glaringly obvious or something, a niche thing that you've seen. In any event, let us continue. Ooman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? Sunday Night Live. He says, hey, let's talk about becoming dangerous. And Becoming Dangerous says the new administration is the same as the old. The only difference is that MAGA, Make America Great Again, jumps like chimps when Trump builds the Chinese-style AI surveillance system and brings in martial law on American cities. This is one of the concerns and worries about the Trump administration and the fact that he bends over and kowtows to Israel, that he's pushing with this genius act, artificial intelligence on us. A couple of years ago, everyone's worried about Neuralink. Anyone worried about Neuralink anymore? Well, we got Palantir. We've got artificial intelligence scouring the internet. It's doing the job that humans used to do, only faster, better, and more efficiently. But artificial intelligence has a lot of limitations, folks. And here's the deal. It requires, get this, the internet. The same thing that we rely on to talk to one another, to communicate, artificial intelligence needs it also. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not recommending anyone do anything illegal or violent, but every city is hooked up to the internet through cables in the ground. You can bet your ass it does. I know they're trying to create the Starlink, right, and keep everything out of our reach, but even those satellites up there that are floating around have to talk to a ground-based relay. A ground-based relay. We know where all the cell towers are. We know where all of the trunk line hubs are in all the big cities. And all it takes is one backhoe to swipe through them all and destroy them. It would take one fire to burn these buildings down, burn down cell towers, and that's the end of it. It's that easy to return us to the 1950s. I don't want that. But there is a way to battle the bad guys. And it won't take me or Uman or anyone. It won't take a fucking genius to figure it out. We'll figure it out if they want to play this game here. Right? As far as jumping like chimps, I hear you, man. I criticize Trump. I criticize everybody. You do something right, I'll give you a kudos. You do something stupid, I'm going to call you out on it. And Trump, ever since, in my opinion, ever since King BB came over here, he hasn't been the same. He hasn't. He has not been the same. Right? He hasn't been the same. In any event, Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Dan the Man Erickson. He's back. Pow, with another super chat topic. $10. He says, if, and I love using the word if because it allows us to think. If the federal government health agencies, meaning CDC, National Institutes of Health, the Food and Drug Administration, if the federal government health agencies would declare that transgenderism is a mental disease, that would keep FFLs from selling these sick, poor people weapons. I agree. You do not give weapons nor driver's licenses to incompetent people, retarded people. Okay, incompetent, someone who cannot take care of themselves. Every last one of these people coming from other countries, incompetent. Low IQ, stupid, dangerous. And I agree with you. Transgenderism is a mental disease. Pedophilia is a mental disease. You could call it a disease. You could call it a disorder, meaning the brain is not wired properly. Right? These disgusting, sick, perverted freaks should not have weapons. But look, Tampon Tim, Twinkle Toes Timmy Walls of Minnesota, the governor, former vice presidential candidate. He claimed that he's friends with school shooters. Tampon Timmy is the consummate lying sack of shit himself. Stolen valor, piece of shit, says he was a command sergeant major that served overseas in a war theater. No, he didn't. He should be arrested for that, along with all these other politicians that pretend. I think it's Richard Blumenthal, the mayor, or is it the governor of Maryland? I think it's the governor, lying about service, claiming that they've served in wars and been awarded, medals. Command. It's just, they are disgusting, sick people, folks. In any event, I really would like to see them. Now, here's the two-edged sword. The scary part is, what if someone took medication? Can the government claim that any medication disqualifies you from being able to purchase a firearm? Right? Where do you draw the line? How do you quantify and qualify a person as not fucked in the head? What if someone is a super right-wing, pro-America, loves the Constitution, never been in trouble, never committed a crime of any sort, and they just like to walk around in women's underwear? I don't know, right? How do you do it? I mean, you can ask somebody to be honest. Have you ever thought about committing suicide? Have you ever thought about killing anyone? Have you ever considered robbing a bank? You ask those questions, people are like, nah, no, I don't remember doing that. How do you qualify who gets to be a gun owner? Well, if I go right to this, right? There's a pretty good way to do this, right? It's the Constitution. Well, let's see here. All the articles. Yep, here it is. Right? The amendments. Yes. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The right of the people. Well, there's always been, even in our law, common law, ancient common law, the belief that if someone is incompetent, right, crazy, in other words, you cannot be in charge of yourself. You are an incompetent. Somebody else has to take care of you, whether it's family or you're a ward of the state. There's a line there, folks. It's kind of like the red flag laws. We would all like to be able to say, that person over there is a crazy son of a bitch, whoever it is, right? They should not have guns. But we've got Democrats who are just as willing to look at you and say, you guys are a bunch of crazy right-wing white supremacists, and even if you're black, you're a white supremacist, and you're nuts, and you're violent, and you're a threat, and you're right. It's just an opinion. So how do you quantify it? I don't want to go to buy my next weapon sometime in the future, who knows when, and have to sit down with a polygraph test and have them ask questions of me to see if I'm crazy or not. You would almost think, let me ask you this. Okay, so being crazy, not being right in the head, having a lower IQ should disqualify you from having weapons. Well, let me ask you this question. If the government told you to take a toxic drug, put it in a needle, inject it into your arm, it's going to give you either a heart attack or increase your risks of cancer and stroke by 10,000%. Will you do it? And if you said yes, are you crazy? Are you fucking stupid? Is your IQ that low? Are you indoctrinated into a belief system that makes no sense? A lot of people could make that argument and say, oh, if you're willing to do that, what else are you willing to do when someone tells you to do it? See what I'm saying? Second Amendment. Right? Now, here's my thing. Even felons, this is just my opinion. Do I like the fact that there's violent felons out there who have committed violent felonies, including murder, gone to prison and get out? Should they be able to buy guns? My answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. They still have rights, and they have the right to defend themselves. But like everyone else, you have to, sign a piece of paper. I'm not of this or I'm not of that, right? And the government the government now knows you have a gun. If a felon gets out of jail, even murderer gets out of jail, If they want a gun, they're not going to go to ABC Rifles and More. They're not going to go to anyone's gun store. They're going to go get a stolen gun, and that's it. If they want to commit crimes. So you're not really stopping criminals. You're just making it more difficult for them. I would rather the government knows who the felons are that have guns. Again, the purpose of what? I don't know anymore. It is getting so hard to have any serious discussion about any topic because the lunatics in charge in DC and every country around the world are talking about the most insane, crazy shit. Carrying a flag of your own nation, it upsets Muslims. You're not allowed to do that anymore. The police are more than willing to attack and arrest their own fucking people, but leave rapists and invaders and illegals running free. Oh, it's going to get fun, folks. It's going to get shitty and stupid. Hey, Ooman, who's up next? Let's have some more fun. And it's Heidi. And she says, people forget the post office and work shootings in the years before they started on the schools. Oh, yeah. The term going postal used to have meaning because it was postal workers who were shooting people. Now, did they ever figure out, man, why that happened? Maybe it was the glue on the stamps. I don't know. Maybe it was sitting under those flickering shitty lights, fucking with their heads all that time. Well, in fact, there's now studies coming out saying LED lighting is not good for the human mind, that it affects our eyes and our mind, and it's not good. It's a negative thing. It's a negative thing. We need real, actual sunlight. How about that? Surprise, surprise. In any event, and work shootings. Yeah, there were people that were going nuts at work, but you don't really hear about that much anymore. Now it's all lunatic youths out there committing crimes after being on drugs. I have a funny feeling, though, that the postal workers and the work murderers, they were obviously not right in the head, and they were probably taking mind control drugs. Now, I will say this. Long before Xanax, folks, there were antidepressants a long time ago. They've been around a long time. They just didn't get much notoriety. And psychiatrists and psychologists didn't talk about them very much, nor did doctors. But they got people hooked on them. They found a way to, I don't know, how do we put this? How to convince people that, yeah, if you're having a rough day, you should pop a pill. All right, Ooman, let's go with it. Who's up next? Prepared Mind channel. It is Chin Music checking in. Bam! His second time today, this time a $4.99 super chat donation. And he says, speaking of the Second Amendment, toss that piece of shit, Republican in name only, Rhino Trey Gowdy overboard. Now, he is euphemistically speaking of tossing Trey Gowdy overboard. Basically, politically, intellectually, academically, educationally, personally, Trey Gowdy is a complete sack of sellout shit. Anytime you see Rhino folks, Republican in name only, it's because they are someone pretending to be pro-America, pro-Constitution, and they're not. They lie, they bullshit, they snivel, and they get in office by lying to voters. And then they do everything they can to undermine the United States Constitution, undermine your freedoms, your lives, your property rights, your money. And Trey Gowdy is one of the biggest pieces of shit in the world. He's right up there. He's in the top 10,000. I know that sounds like a big number, folks, but we have 8 billion people on this planet. And those who are in power, not just in the United States government, the governments around the world, and the media around the world are the biggest pieces of shit. Trey Gowdy is an attorney. There's a strike. He became an elected politician in D.C. and did absolutely nothing while talking all kinds of trash. Strike 2. And now he's a member of the mainstream media. He is a total 3-time loser. Sack of shit. Trey Gowdy. I really wish I could box with these people, folks. I'd take on the young guys too. I would love to take on Eye Patch McCain. I would love to have a boxing match with all of them. All of them. It could be totally sanctioned with a real referee and all kinds of stuff. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, that'd be great. Folks, share the internet address. Let's get that video out there. It is Sunday Night Live. Be sure and thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, you must subscribe to get in the comment section. Chin Music, you're the man. Thank you again. Ooh, man, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel as we cruise into the second half of the show? And it's Michael Rondo. And he says this. He says, it feels like certain people in Chicago are supporting the criminals because they are part of that organization, claiming they can stop Trump from taking down criminals. That is so fucking sad. It truly is, folks. It truly is. Now, I need to defend the mafia. That's right, the Italian mafia in Chicago. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana basically comedically bitch slapped Illinois governor fat ass prickster, Jabba Prickster, saying this. This is what Senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy, said, quote, even the mafia is leaving Chicago because of crime. Yeah, this is all about maintaining control. You can maintain control a few ways, folks. You can have freedom and constantly tell the people, freedom, freedom is most important. Freedom is number one. Without freedom, you've got nothing. You can't have safety and security without freedom, right? Or you can be the other type of politician who wants to remove the people's ability to protect themselves and take away government protections, which are in place specifically to capture criminals and punish criminals so that we are safe. So rather than do the hard work of convincing people, you need to be free. Instead, the people who run the cities are themselves criminal. So they want to remove the ability of people to deal with them. So they make the people not afraid of the government, but afraid of the crime around them, and continually ask the criminal government, like Chicago, to protect them. And Chicago does what? Absolutely jack shit. So the people are not free, nor are they safe. Right? In fact, I think there was an old proverb that was repeated by many politicians. I think Ben Franklin was quoted most often for it, with those who would sacrifice freedom for security deserve neither. Right? Because you've sacrificed freedom, you will not get security. You know, wanting security starts with, the people. It is our country. Anyways, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Uman. Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? Lots of stuff to talk about going on in the background. And until it comes up on the board, I don't get to see it. And holy moly, it's Big Dan, the man with a $50 super chat. And that means I get another scotch, another Glenlivet, 15 years single malt Scotch whiskey. Let's have some fun, shall we? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I pulled that a little bit too heavy there, Dan. Please forgive me. Oh, boy. Here we are. All right, Big Dan, down the hatch, Semper Fi. God bless you all, one and all. And your support, all of the super chats go to keep the lights on in the Prepared Mind bunker, in the studios, keeps the spam, the tuna fish well stocked, as well as making sure I have my version of medication. Woo! The spirits right there, the fighting spirits in that bottle. Dan says the Roman Empire fell because of too much parties, while their armies were stretched too thin on too many fronts. Sounds kind of like our country right now, and with our money troubles, just like the Romans. It has everything to do with money, prosperity, money, standard of living. Let's talk about Rome a little bit. Rome basically controlled all of the literal geographic territory around the Mediterranean Sea. On the west, they ran into, well, Portugal, Spain, and then Morocco, northern Africa, all the way around into Egypt. Right? I think it was Mark Antony was in love with Cleopatra, right? All that's going on there. Then over in the east, it went all the way to the Persian Empire and stopped. Going north, it went up through France into England and got stopped by the Scots. God bless the Scots. They had to build Hadrian's Wall. Emperor Hadrian of Rome built a wall to try and keep the Scots out. But they went up into Germania. They, of course, had Rome, Italy. But that's it. But they had armies at every front, right? Everywhere. The idea was that to conquer new lands, to take their wealth, take their natural resources, which included wood, silver, gold where they could find it, food, because they had to feed their armies. So you needed food, you needed to pay them with silver. But what did the Romans do? Well, they were awful. The Roman Senate was corrupt beyond belief. That's why they assassinated Julius Caesar. Et tu, Brute? Stabbed him 28 times in the back. Right? Et tu, Brute? They were completely corrupt. They didn't have enough silver to pay all of their people and run an empire. So they started debasing their currency. They took in all the coinage, melted it down, put in some copper, recast it as the denarius, but it was now debased. Instead of having a 100% silver coin, they had 90%, then 80%, then 50%, mixing tin, lead, whatever they could into the metals, into their silver coinage. Guess what? People realized that, and they knew it was worth less. The Roman denarius, their coin of the realm, became worthless. As the country went broke, they debased their currency. They had their military stretched everywhere. They were searching and grasping for natural resources. And as Dan the Man Erickson points out, that is exactly where we're at today. But it's not just America. It is China. It is every European nation. They're going around the world looking for natural resources. But instead of conquering with their armies, they're trying to conquer them with economic arrangements. Now, the United States of America, under the petrodollar system, which was an engagement between the United States government and the oil-producing cartels of the world, OPEC, to control energy and therefore control the world through requiring the use of the United States dollar. But in 1971, the dollar was backed by gold, meaning the dollar was as good as gold for nations, not for us, the people. It was illegal to own gold as people, except for jewelry, of course. But in 1971, they took us off the gold standard because the United States was printing, i.e. debasing their currency by not having enough gold and silver to back it. What was being printed? Paper. Because paper is not money, folks. Paper is currency. Paper currency or paper money is not money. It is the ghost of money. I think it was Madison or Jefferson called it that. In any event, we're doing the same exact thing. But see, it's not just the Roman Empire, Mr. Erickson. It is every empire throughout all of history. They rise through strength, morality, hard work. They expand beyond their capacity and ability. They become decadent. They become perverted, and they fall. Every single time, because it's not you and me. It's not the working people that are the problem. It is always the corruption at the leadership level. In Rome, folks, if you weren't in the right political party, oh yeah, they had political parties and factions, if you will. The other senators would accuse you of being corrupt or taking bribes, whatever it took. And they would send Rome's legions to your property. They would arrest you and jail you, steal your money, steal your wealth, steal your land. Send all that wealth back to Rome for the others to keep and to hoard, to continue to afford their lavish lifestyle. Meanwhile, the average Roman in Rome, right? How did they keep them quiet? If there's not enough money for the government to be corrupt and run itself, what were the people doing? Well, they were distracted. Bread and circus. As long as they kept them fed and entertained, Romans in Rome would not get mad at their government. Ultimately, they failed. Rome burned while Emperor Nero fiddled. They gave them food, they gave them circus until it failed. And then what happened? You had religious war inside the Roman Empire. You had the pagans attacking the Christians, feeding them to the lions. Then it got flipped around. The Christians got a hold of power and authority and turned it back the other way. Oh, by the way, there were no Muslims back then. Muslims didn't come around for 400 to 600 years after that. And then they were over in that Mecca area. In any event, folks, money is the root of all evil, they say? Or is it human greed is the root of all evil? The two major factors that cause people to make decisions: fear, greed. Fear, greed. And those drive people to become corrupt. Look at any government. Look at these freakish people who run the governments. Unbelievable. Thank you, Big Dan. All right, Mr. Uman, looks like you're still having some computer troubles and glitching out there, but I know you're there. I see you. Who's up next? We got Viking is back. It's Boomerman with a $20 super chat donation. He says, the fall of Minneapolis docudrama clearly showed that crucial evidence was kept out of the Derek Chauvin trial. And both the police chief and the captain lied on the stand. It is a must watch. Viking, I hope you put in the comments where that video can be found at. I would guess it could be found on YouTube, but maybe not. If you cannot find it on YouTube, check Rumble, check BitChute. Hell, even type in Fall of Minneapolis into X, Twitter. It's out there. Now, what is he's talking about is Derek Chauvin is the man, one of the three police who was busy attempting to arrest St. George Floyd. That's right, just in case you forgot. So why did the police even show up to arrest St. George Floyd? Because St. George Floyd was in a corner store trying to pass counterfeit bills, counterfeit money, while he was loaded on the drug fentanyl, which causes respiratory, distress and ultimately failure. George Floyd was having a hard time breathing even before the police put their hands on him. George Floyd was a large and strong man. They got him in the car and he wormed and weaseled his way out onto the ground. Meanwhile, locals were watching, wondering what was going on. Derek Chauvin looks like an asshole. He sounds like an asshole. He probably is an asshole, but that doesn't make him a murderer. It doesn't mean he did anything wrong. He just looks like an asshole. That's not a crime. We got lots of people look like assholes. A lot of people think I look like an asshole. Too bad. Anyways, let's continue. So the evidence, crucial evidence. How about the coroner's report? The defense should have had their own autopsy performed to accompany the coroner's report, which said George Floyd was overdosed on fentanyl, drugs. Who knows what other drugs he was on too, but fentanyl, he had enough fentanyl to kill a fucking horse, literally, in his system, meaning he was an addict. He was an addict. And while they were trying to arrest him, he kept struggling and struggling and struggling with the police, resisting arrest, another crime, right? And then it came to the trial. This is why living in a city, county, and state that is not liberal Democrat run is so critical, because you cannot defend yourself. You cannot protect others. You can't do anything and not risk the police, the sheriff lying in court, the district attorney, right? The judge being absolute anti-American, low-life sacks of shit. Because that's what happened to Derek Chauvin. They were so afraid of the public getting mad at the government, which they already were. They were already burning police cars, police stations, and courthouses. They were afraid there would be a nationwide rebellion. Wait, we already had that. The Summer of Love 2020 was mostly peaceful as infernos raged every fucking where. Burning, looting, murdering, BLM, Black Lives Matter, BLM. Oh, yeah. The police chief, the captain, witnesses fucking lied. They ignored evidence, primary evidence. Primary evidence was the coroner's report. But the jury wanted to find Derek Chauvin guilty. Why? They were being threatened. Folks, watch this fall in Minneapolis. There's so much evidence out there that shows this was beyond a miscarriage of justice or beyond being a travesty of justice. It was an outright sellout to the wackadoo, out of its fucking mind, violent leftist thugs that are in cities and are actually running cities now, like Mayor BJ, Mayor Bass, Governor Newsom, Prickster, Hochul. All of these fucking people are outright anti-American criminals holding office, holding positions of public trust like judges, district attorneys, and law enforcement. I have no love or respect for any of them, but it's a great recommendation, Viking. Thank you, sir. Mr. Uman, who's next? We're 90 minutes into the show, folks. We got about 30 minutes left, and it's Redneck Roughneck. And he says, the reason guerrilla fighting is so hard to win at is these politicians tie our military's hands behind their back and then send them to fight. Prior to the United States of America engaging communism in the Vietnam War, that was being fought by the French military because Vietnam was a French colony. And the communists were coming down out of China. Mao Zedong and his communist expansion was coming down and wanted Vietnam, the Pearl of the Orient. Vietnam, because of the war, has kind of a dirty name, but it was nicknamed the Pearl of the Orient, meaning it was a beautiful land, beautiful coasts, beautiful cities, right? Nice country. We fought there a new style of warfare. It wasn't here's the front line and you go towards the enemy and you defeat them. It was a hodgepodge, hit and miss, new style of warfare that was brought about under General Westmoreland, who was the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman, Army General Westmoreland. Over in Afghanistan in the 80s, the Soviet Union tried taking out those people there, and the Mujahideen fought, and they did not lose. Same story. If you go from one end of the country to the other and completely drive people out, you can defeat an enemy. But it's hard, folks, because these guerrilla fights are not against a traditional military, right? They're freedom fighters. They're insurgents, and they recruit from behind enemy lines. They recruit people who are psychologically pissed off and want to fight the occupying army. And then they're promised by the opposition. They're promised a better life. They're promised a better life. So that's what the communists do. We're going to take everything from those rich people and give it to you guys. It'll be great. They try it all the time. They try it all the time, folks. Anyways, thank you, Redneck Roughneck. There's going to be more of that, folks. Around the world, there's going to be insurgents fighting their own governments. I think Europe is going to become a theater where that happens very, very soon. Only this time it'll be the people rising up, not the Central Intelligence Agency, not Interpol, not Mossad. It's going to be people fighting to take their countries back and evict every last one of these non-native peoples. All right, Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel on this wonderful holiday weekend? And we got Yankee Watchdog said, back in the 60s, Venezuela was the 4th richest country on the planet. What happened? What happened? Oh, communism, socialism made its way into South America. Another extremely wealthy country, Yankee, was Argentina. It's still a very wealthy country, but it's the governments that fuck things up. Now, how did communism make it from Russia and China over the top of Europe and land in Central and South America? You're going to love this one, folks. That would be the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, who are communists and brought communism over into the churches and then disseminated it into the people until it had a paramilitary backing. They had enough people to start pushing for communist revolution. And that is how the economies, the agrarian or agricultural, as well as industrial and mining in Central and South America, got so fucked up. Now, there's still mining for gold and silver and other base metals in Peru, Argentina, Chile, Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Brazil, like the whole South American continent. Also up through Central and then into Mexico. Mexico is another huge country that is absolutely rich in mineral resources, gold and silver, the most wealthy to note. But guess what? The governments are so fucking corrupt. Communism basically got stumped. Venezuela is still communist, but just calling them socialist. They go back and forth. Argentina got rid of their socialist government many times. I believe Juan Perez was the first socialist back after World War II that took over, he and his wife. And they've gone back and forth. And socialism is a piece of shit government, communism, socialism. And right now they've got Javier Milei, who himself, folks, the chainsaw candidate, has come under attack by his own people for his support of Israel. Whoops. He was in a motorcade and was getting rocks and bottles and shit pelting him because the people don't like to be lied to and treated like shit. Venezuela, folks, big trouble. Big trouble. They almost got rid of Maduro, but not quite. Not quite. Can you imagine that fight? It's a hell of a fight. In any event, thank you, Yankee. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got great topics tonight, folks. We're all over it. Carport Carl checks in with a $5 bam super chat. Thank you for supporting our efforts here and keeping the channel hot and alive there, Carport Carl. Very good. Your topic, you don't have one, so I'm going to pick one for you. President Trump says, quote, "It would not bother me at all," end quote. He's talking about John Brennan arrested live on TV and James Comey arrested live on TV. Now, John Brennan, former CIA hotshot, and James Comey, former FBI hotshot, right, directors. He wants to see him arrested live on TV. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's bullshit. It's big talk. It's tough talk. It's not going to happen. That, my friends, is known as a dopamine hit for the morons. And nothing is going to change. Trump has been saying people need to be arrested since the election, the campaign of 2016. Nothing has changed. Nothing has happened. But someone please make the arrests. Prove me wrong, I implore you. Trump needs to arrest. He can't even fire a fucking Federal Reserve piece of shit board member for committing not one, not two, but 3 cases. Folks, 3 cases of mortgage fraud. Because you get one mortgage and then you do another and claim it's your primary residence. Now both, right? And the Federal Reserve will not kick her off. I think this is cause. If Jerome Powell will not kick her off the board for cause, then Jerome Powell should be removed for cause, for allowing somebody who's in charge and taking part in understanding our monetary system commits mortgage fraud. We're supposed to allow that person to make decisions for the rest of us? Unfucking believable. Thank you, Carport Carl. Mr. Uman, let's move on if we shall. Woo! What a night. Who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? Who's up? Who's up? And it's becoming dangerous. And he says, if you want to know what's going on, look up the Kentler experiment in Germany. The Kentler experiment in Germany. Thank you very much. Folks, if you want to get on here, super chat button right up there. But I'm going to kind of jump the shark. Not really, but in a way. Big news this weekend, and I don't want to miss it. No one's talked about it yet. The assassination, or rather killing of the Houthi leader in Somalia. Some people are calling it assassination by Israel. And guess what? America gets blamed for that also. So Israel kills the Prime Minister Ahmad Khaleb Ahrahi. I love speaking that language. Yes, folks, Ahmad Khaled al-Rahawi has been killed by Israel. So now Somalis are saying death to America and death to Israel. Why should that concern us? Well, Somalia and the Houthis, not Houthis and the Blowfish, folks, but Houthis, have been attacking military ships as well as private civilian commercial ships. And so they've been getting bombed and attacked by others for their stupidity. I really don't have a problem, folks, with terrorists being killed, even if it's killed by other terrorists, but I'm getting tired of being told that one terrorist organization is a good terrorist organization. No, they're not. Right? Our country needs allies who aren't retarded assholes. We need allies who don't think that pedophilia is a good thing. We need allies that don't actually think of us as their cattle and their slaves. America needs allies who aren't assholes. And the older I get, the more I see politicians everywhere as evil, as sellouts, as traitors. And folks, we right now have no hope of being freed from the banksters and the fraudsters around the world. Israel is an absolutely awful country. Absolutely awful. Like I said, I have no love for the Houthis because they're destroying ships, warships, civilian passage. And, oh, by the way, in America, we have an incredibly immense Somali/Houthi lover population in the state of, drum roll please, Minnesota. That's right. That's where Ilhan scumbag Omar and her husband brother live now. And under Barack Hussein Barry-Soetoro, I'm actually a Kenyan Obama. He brought those people in by the hundreds of thousands into Minnesota and turned Minnesota from a German, Swedish, Scandinavian immigrant state that was established well over 100 years ago with civilized people that can obey the rule of law. They have now been supplanted by social communists and Muslim terrorists. They can at any time just activate these people, make sure they have guns, and look out, folks. You got a shooting war in our own country. Scary times, folks. I think the Chinese had a proverb that's more like a curse. May you live in interesting times. Well, I'm going to say that my life has been lived and my experience have been very fucking interesting, to say the least. To be 55 and looking at the shit I'm looking at and you're looking at. People say, the millennials, the Zoomers. Yeah, the centennials. Yeah, they've got trouble. They get a lifetime of shit too. But I love how they think that they're special and they were being punished as if they're the only ones that have to work and have bills to pay. Go to the 1970s. The interest rates there, not for credit cards, for home loans were 15 and 16 and 18%. Inflation was 25% many times. In other words, it was far worse than it was today. Let's continue if we shall. Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got about 20 minutes left, and we got Gary D checking in with a 556 super chat donation. And he says, I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is in charge of the Health and Human Services and the Food and Drug Administration and the CDC, that guy, he says he should declare transgenderism a national health crisis. I think that you are right. It should be considered a mental disorder, and that we as a nation are in crisis because of it, and require them, all transgenders, to be in a lockdown facility for at least 6 months. That's interesting. Are we calling for, prison camps? Or are we calling for actual gender-affirming care? Loony bins. And by gender affirming, I don't mean cutting their genitals off. I mean taking people who were born with a penis, taking them off their meds, taking them off their gender meds, right? No more gender meds for you men who think you're women, and also women who think you're men. And straightening them the fuck up. Going through treatment and rehab. Psychological evaluation after psychological evaluation. I think you're being too generous, Gary, by saying, well, no, actually you did. You said at least 6 months. No, that's I think a fair idea. These people are, it's in a lot of ways, folks, I'm not an uncaring bastard. In fact, I'm not a bastard at all. My parents were married. I feel sorry for these fucking idiots who suffer from a weak mental disposition and allow themselves to be brainwashed, indoctrinated, fooled, lied to, tricked. They're that weak. They're that weak to social manipulation, right? People that want to change their gender, even people that want to change their name because they don't like their parents. I think they have a very sad life where they're living trying to satisfy others. I never have lived to satisfy others. I don't want people to like me, right? We're here because we're Americans, because we love our country, our nation, our culture, laws, and tradition. That's what binds us together. But I'm not trying to get people to like me. You see, that's the problem with these fruitcakes, is they want people to like them. They want to feel important. Sorry, hardly any of us ever get to be important at all, much less a lot. But here we are. I agree with you, Gary. Great idea. Let's lock them down. Let's help them out. And after 6 months, or whenever actual psychologists say this person is no longer a threat to themselves or society, and they can be released. Now, some of them will be running around saying they're men and they won't have dicks anymore. And some of them will be women with no breasts. A lot of these transgenders folks actually trans back on their own. They get off the meds and they get some help and they realize, hey, I was just confused. In other words, they were psychologically battered by teachers, parents, the media, and their psychologists. In fact, the psychologists and the doctors, I think, should all be fucking arrested. Thank you, Gary D. Moving on, Mr. Uman, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? Who's up on the board, Roughneck? And he says, the bunghole breeder's mother. He's talking about the fruitcake, Robert Westman, who's on the thumbnail for this video. The bunghole breeder's mother used to work at that Catholic school, and she signed the papers so her son could transition into being a physiological freak, which is what you have to do to change genders. You have to become a physiological freak. You have to introduce hormones, which are chemicals, which turn switches on and off in your body. He already is a male, and now he's trying to become a female. Yep, there it is. So what's fascinating here is the Louisville transgender mass murdering piece of shit who took an AR and went into that Christian school in Louisville was a student at that school as well. Funny how these transgenders have an axe to grind with Christians that they once were a part of. See, the Christians didn't reject them. They rejected Christianity. They rejected Catholicism. They rejected a non-murderous belief system. What a world. Thank you, Redneck Roughneck. Okay, Mr. Uman, where are we going next? Bump, 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 bump. We've got, well, it's Alfred Bazemore. Is it Elfried Bazemore? Well, he became a member right on. Is that maybe he's from another country and his name is it's that version of Alfred? It's Alfred Bazemore. Awesome. Welcome, man. Thank you for supporting us as a YouTube member. You can also become a member on the thepreparedmind.club and subscribestar.com. Your membership helps keep us right here Monday through Friday and Sunday Night Live, which is where we're at right now. Tomorrow is, I believe, Labor Day. And what that means is we have another day off of work. Woo! Okay, what a show, folks. This is interesting. You cannot satisfy the bad guys. Thank you. We'll just leave him up here. Everyone, kudos. Thank you, sir. Now, the mainstream media is now going after Pam Bondi's brother, Brad Bondi, another attorney. Well, Pam, you coward, you weakling, you intellectual vagrant, you national sellout, Pam. All you have done is made yourself a target, and now your brother, Brad, is a target. What did she think she was going to do? She was going to make Israel happy and make the Democrats happy and make the mainstream media happy? Is that what you thought, Pam, you moron? You fucking liar, Pam. I have the documents on my desk. Epstein files are on my desk. I'm reviewing them right now. Oh, my God. We got to get more from New York. We can't get them. We got them. Oh, we need to redact them. Fucking liar. We're going to release the files any day now. Next week. Fucking liar. You know, if she wanted to protect herself and her family and her country and live up to her oath, all she needs to do is arrest the real criminal elites. Save your soul, Pam. You heartless wench. You're allowing children to be raped while you snivel about your lawyer brother being harassed. Children in America need to be protected, Pam, from foreign invaders and foreign influencers and perverts. And all Pam Bondi wants to do is go on Fox News and try and sound cool and appease the media. It ain't going to happen, you dumb wench. Good golly. These fucking people, folks. Good golly. Folks, we got what? We got, 10 minutes left. Super chat button right up there if you guys want to talk. That makes a donation, keeps the channel going, and you, my friends, we can make famous. You certainly can. But get this, folks. I've got so much to talk about. So much to talk about. I don't want to let the Jim Jones juice go away, though, folks. Pfizer, let's do it. Let's do the Pfizer files. A dad, while flying home Wants to see and celebrate with his wife her birthday. He died mid-flight. How old was this guy? 90? 80? 70? No, he's 39-year-old. Was that the Jim Jones juice? We'll never know because they're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us. Except we know he had heart failure. Since when do hearts fail on a 39-year-old? He wasn't stressed out. He wasn't running a triathlon. He wasn't fighting a war in the fucking desert. He wasn't on the roof of a house building, nailing roofing in the sun. He was in the middle of an airline flight. The lid didn't get ripped off. They didn't depressurize. There was no stress. He's flying on a fucking plane. He should be happy and excited. He's going home to help celebrate his wife's birthday with the family, and he has a fucking heart attack. Yep. The Pfizer files, folks. But it's not just dads. It's also news anchors. And I want to thank Darcy T for sending these to me. News anchor, age 42. Remember, the news anchors were the ones pushing the Jim Jones juice, the VAXXXX. They're pushing it, and they're dropping like flies, folks. We have had news people year 1, year 2, year 3. Oh, shit, we're up to year 4, and they're still dropping dead. Age 42. News anchors are not on the roof with me building houses in the sun. News anchors aren't fighting wars in the deserts and getting shot at. News anchors are not running triathlons. They're not strongmen. They're not nope. They sit behind a fucking desk and someone does their makeup and hair for them every day. So another unexpected death. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Good golly, folks. I hope you have a nice holiday weekend. I hope you've had lots of barbecues and good times. Good times. But we've got hard times, folks. Hard times are on us at the same time as we're trying to have good times. And hard times make men and women stronger. It does. Hard times make people stronger. And I want to say that I'm very sorry, but another Democrat presidential candidate is down in Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. A Democrat commissioner has been arrested. Been arrested at City Hall. There's a massive multi-state drug bust. Whoops! The Democrat Party loses yet another presidential candidate. It's funny how that happens. Oh, good golly. What do I have here? This is one that I just knew I had to get in before the end of the show. I want to know why this is even a fucking question. The question, the legality of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Sanctuary for illegal aliens. Constitutional authority and controlling the border and immigration regulation is absolutely 100% in the federal wheelhouse. Right? Because it makes uniform rules or laws so that immigrants cannot sneak in one state where they could another. Right? In fact, any state that is harboring fugitives, any city or state harboring fugitives is engaged in criminality, and the politicians, police, judges, and bureaucrats, if they want to play sanctuary status, should be arrested. They should be charged. They should be prosecuted, and they should be sentenced. We're just over 7 months in to President Trump's first year, and there has been 0 arrests of mayors and governors for interfering with immigrations and customs enforcement. We had 1 elected representative assault immigrations people, got arrested and released. Where's the trial? Where's the fucking trial? Not going to happen, folks. It's a fucking shit show, and we're all being played. We're all being played. But if we wanted to stop the lawlessness, just as cleaning up Washington, D.C. made people happy and crime seemed to disappear. I still have not heard of any murders in Washington, D.C. Have you, Oman? Have they managed to get it? I know Chicago, they're murdering the fuck out of each other all weekend. But no. Right? So instead of threatening to arrest Mayor BJ or Governor Newsom or Mayor Bass or Governor Prickster, why not stop threatening and just go in and arrest them? Right? You want to make crime disappear? Keep doing what Trump is doing. And these cities will clean themselves up. Right? But arrest a fucking governor, arrest a mayor, arrest the chief of police, arrest a sheriff if he wants to try it. Because it is the prerogative of the federal government to handle, manage, and protect this country from immigrants. So if an immigrant manages to get across the border, they're not off the hook. They still fall under federal jurisdiction because they are not Americans. How fucking hard is this? Uman says the Guard is supposed to be rolling into Chicago out of the Great Lakes Naval Base starting on the 2nd. Well, that would be Tuesday. I hope it happens. I hope it happens. I think they should make Great Lakes Naval Base. I think they should make that a detainment facility for these illegals that are captured. And I think they ought to deport the fuck out of them. You know what cracks me up, speaking of deporting people? That asshole, the Maryland father, who, beat his girlfriend / baby mama, trafficked illegals into the country, and is a member of the MS-13 murder gang, right? I can't even remember his fucking name. He got sent down to El Salvador, then sent back to America because of judges, but they're going to send him out of the country again. And he doesn't like the fact that he's going to be sent to Uganda. So Stephen Miller, who works for the Trump administration, he's the one that looks like Squidward. Right? He said, hey, sorry, you don't get to come into our country, break the law, break multiple laws, and then tell us what your favorite country would be to be shipped out to. Right? It's pretty funny stuff. But funny or not, we need to protect our country. We need to protect our little girls and boys. Because if we don't stop this bullshit and get rid of the people that are here, that do not love America, will not assimilate, cannot fall under constitutional law because they have sworn and promised a religious oath to always disobey and then take over the countries they invade. If we don't do that, we're going to be in the same place that the rest of Europe is. Japan, Australia, Canada. Yep. Have you noticed, though, that they're not sending Muslims into Mexico? You want to know why? They can try. They're not going to do real well because Mexicans are proud of being Mexican. Mexicans are good at being Mexican. And Mexicans are, by and large, ethnically aware. And they like Mexico being Mexican. Some might call them racist. You can make that claim. I'm not going to stop anyone making that claim because they may know better than me. What I know, though, is Mexico and other Central and South American countries are very racist. They don't like Middle Easterners. They don't like people of other ethnic and national origin, like the Indians. We have a huge problem in our country, folks. It is beyond huge, and we need to solve it. But it's not one problem or two. It's handfuls of problems. And that's why you need to be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. Means of self-defense. Because the people out there that hate us are the people in charge of this country. And the people they're bringing into this country are people who hate us. And it's being done at the behest of people who hate us. And hate, folks, is very fascinating in that they want to call everything you and I believe as free people, no matter what country you're in. They want to say that by not wanting these people coming here into our country, that we're full of hate, when it is the exact opposite. The governments are hateful. The people they're bringing in, they're hateful. And the super elite bankers are hateful of freedom and liberty. God bless, Semper Fi, and chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours.